Hello, I am your teacher, Mr. Pacitti, and this is my classroom here in Louisville, Kentucky. So put away your mobile phones, put away your Monday Night Raw. It's time to concentrate, it's time to study. This is SmackDown Live, and this is Graded. We kick things off with AJ Styles. Now, I know what you're thinking. Adam, he's a WWE Raw superstar. What's he doing here on the blue brand? Well, in case you missed last night's episode of Raw, I'm sorry to be the one to have to inform you that there is now a wild card rule in effect. The wildcard rule means that a limited number of superstars, is it 3, is it 4, is it 5, is it as many as Fox damn well pleases, can appear on the rival brand show. Now I know what you're thinking, that sounds lazy, Adam, that's going to really harm the weekly episodes of Raw and SmackDown, but you're wrong, it's genius. Vince McMahon is a genius. AJ explains this rule, not as well as I have, but he does his best and then is interrupted by Sami Zayn from the red brand. Sami Zayn, of course, was crushed to death last night, so it's very, very good to see that he's made a full recovery. And Sami says that he'd rather be anywhere else than here in Louisville, Kentucky, and then calls out AJ Styles on his toxic ego. AJ and Sami are then interrupted by the WWE champion Kofi Kingston. Kofi asks, "What the hell are you two doing on an episode of SmackDown?" I don't know if you were watching last night's Raw, Kofi. You were sort of in the main event, but there happens to be this great new thing called the wild card rule. It's going to change the entire landscape of the WWE. Vince McMahon is a genius. Sami says that these people, the WWE Universe, aren't happy with you, Kofi. You're just giving away championship matches when it's him that deserves that match, that championship opportunity. Lots of jokes about Sami being smelly because he was in the garbage truck, revolutionary stuff there from WWE writers. And then Kofi says, "I'll take either of you on." This leads to a triple threat match being set up for tonight's main event. Kofi Kingston, AJ Styles, Sami Zayn for the WWE title. This was a perfectly serviceable opening promo. I'm going to give it a C+. Certainly nothing groundbreaking here, unlike that wildcard rule. And to be honest, the only reason that I'm giving it a plus here is because it didn't go on for 20 minutes. Next up is Ali versus Andrade, and the winner of this one gets their full name back. Made that up, sorry. We get a nice little selfie promo from Ali before the match starts, reminding us that he's in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, and I quite like this. It was different from the rest of the show. Quite often, I'm not a big fan of the selfie promos because they happen in some red or blue lit backstage environment where we know they have camera operators anyway, so why don't you just grab one of them? But this was nice, it felt different. He was stood in front of a street light and he was pointing. It was really good, his delivery was nice, and visually it felt different from the rest of the show, which is always a good thing. The match starts off hot with the two men brawling to the outside, and then as Ali goes for a springboard off the crowd barrier, Andrade just sweeps his leg out from under him. That was fantastic. Just another example of Andrade's fantastic, intense in-ring style. I've said it before, I'll say it again. It always feels like the most important thing in the world to Andrade is winning a match, and win or lose, he never fails to impress in the ring. That seems like such an obvious thing to say, that wrestlers should want to win their matches, but you really feel it with Andrade. I remember down in NXT, some of his moveset to me felt a little bit frenzied. Apparently that was all down to some extreme anxiety that he was suffering. He got massive nerves before he would go out and wrestle. So now, before he does wrestle, he takes a Xanax, and that does help with his panic attacks. Then there was a big long ad break, during which what happened looked like it was pretty good from the little window in the corner, but I couldn't really tell, so who knows. Back from the break, and a huge Spanish fly from Ali to Andrade, and then Mr. Schlonghands himself runs in, RKOs both Ali and Andrade, ends in a DQ, and then he just stares at the briefcase above him like he's never seen one before. You've literally won the thing, Randy. I'm giving this a C+. Unfortunately, the match just never really got going. It started, it was great, commercial break, come back, and suddenly it's all over. That's not the fault of the talent in the ring, and obviously the point of this match was to sell the Money in the Bank ladder match, but to me, what this actually did is sell the idea of more Andrade versus Ali in singles action. I would like to see more of that before a Money in the Bank ladder match. That's not true. I love a ladder match. You know what I mean? They're really good together. They work so well together. They've got great chemistry, so hopefully we'll see more of those in singles action. Who knows? Out next is Shane McMahon, who is here to crown some new SmackDown Tag Team Champions, but before he can do so, he has to address the actions of one The Miz on on last night's episode of Raw. He says that he found the actions of The Miz lamentable, deplorable. Sorry, I forgot I was in Kentucky. Disgusting. Cheap, but I liked it. As for the belts, Shane has scoured the entirety of the SmackDown Live roster, and he would like to introduce your new SmackDown Live Tag Team Champions. It's not the B team, thank the Lord. It's Daniel Bryan and Rowan. But before that team can be crowned champions, they are interrupted by the Usos. And I know what you're thinking, Adam, aren't the Usos from Monday Night Raw? Well, let me tell you something. There's this new thing called the wild card rule. It's been thought up by a revolutionary, a genius. Vince, I'm going to stop now. I'm going to stop. The Usos interrupt, and it feels like the Usos are back to their usual selves. There's none of the shower nonsense. There's none of the Usi hot bollocks. There's just an intense, brilliant promo delivering tag team. And if this is going to be the case, please just keep them here on SmackDown. Please. Shane agrees to a match for the vacant SmackDown tag titles, which I thought was a little bit weird because he's a heel and he should probably deprive the audience of the things that they would like to see. But I guess also he's an authority figure and he should be making matches. Whatever. Anyway, I'm glad that he did agree to it because it was a hell of a match. Bryan starts out in the ring, soon tags in Rowan, who, as far as in-ring work goes, is looking stronger than ever right now. He plays a believable big brute character very well, not as well as Luke Harper, but still very well, and some nice tag team offense between Daniel Bryan and Rowan. It doesn't feel like they're two people who have just been thrown together anymore. It feels like they're both on the same page. A nice spot as Daniel Bryan catches Jimmy Uso off a splash and then locks him in the label lock, and he's trying to get to the ropes, and then he manages to counter into a pin for a nice near fall, and then another great near fall later as Jimmy connects with the splash to Rowan. 1, 2, just manages to get out. All good stuff. The finish comes as Rowan hits the Iron Claw. Nice to see Rowan being the one to pick up the victory for his team, and this match gets a B+. Almost gave it an A-. I did really enjoy this match, but not quite A-. It was still very good, especially for a TV tag match. I'd like to say that maybe this was just a little bit predictable because the Usos are over on Monday Night Raw. Why would they win the SmackDown tag titles? But honestly, that didn't even factor into things for me because Vince McMahon is clearly out of his mind. I don't know what he's doing right now. I'm also really happy that Daniel Bryan immediately has something to do after dropping the title to Kofi Kingston at WrestleMania 35. In my mind, this week's Raw solidified Kofi as a man who is worthy of being a champion. He's a fighting champion. I thought it was a great main event. But it's also very, very good to see Daniel Bryan in a position where he's going to be featured prominently on the weekly show, or maybe weekly shows, who knows, wild card rule. So that's really good to see because Daniel Bryan for a long time now has been my favourite part of SmackDown. Next up, it's time for more Shane McMahon! Of course it is. So Shane has something big to tell us about the Money in the Bank ladder matches, but before he can say anything, The Miz runs out and attacks Shane McMahon. Now I know what you're thinking. What's The Miz doing here? He's a WWE Raw superstar. Why is he on SmackDown Live? Why aren't you listening to me? I've explained this already. But before The Miz can do too much damage, the B-Team make the save. Shane gets the hell out of Dodge, but then The Miz does to the B-Team what he did to Sanity, absolutely ruins them. But then Shane comes in from behind, hits him with a steel chair. The Miz, he's laid out on the floor, and then Shane McMahon just flicks his sweat onto the corpse of The Miz. Could have drowned. I'll give this another C+. I don't have too much to say here. I guess it does present a minor issue in that Shane McMahon was about to announce something huge for the Money in the Bank ladder matches, but that was really just a setup so The Miz could come and attack him, and now we're likely not going to get that announcement. That'll just be forgotten about, never referenced again. Who knows? I think probably this would have been worked better into Shane awarding Daniel Bryan and Rowan the tag team titles, maybe. I don't know. No real complaints here. Up next is Carmella and Ember Moon taking on the team of Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. Of course, 3 of these women are in the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Poor Sonya. Pretty standard tag affair here, really. There's not that much to say at all. Mandy Rose picks up the win for her team with the bed of roses and a C+ in the process. There was an interesting moment where Sonya took the bullet for Mandy Rose as Ember Moon dives to the outside, and commentary really hammering that point home hard. So expect to see Sonya and Mandy not be friends in the near future. Probably at Money in the Bank. I think it's likely that Sonya might cost Mandy, like she's up on the ladder and she's about to get it down. Sonya comes out and then you get a little feud with those two. Who knows? We'll see, but I don't see them being friends for that much longer. After the match, Paige comes out with her newest acquisitions, Asuka and Kairi Sane, and she absolutely rinses Sonya and Mandy, saying they are nothing more than a couple of trollops, which if you're not from Britain means slags. You won't know what that means either. She says that they are going to tear through the women's tag division starting next week with you two. But realistically, that match might not even happen because it's wild card rules. We'll probably get Victor and Heath Slater taking on Mandy and Asuka because it's the kooky world of Vince McMahon. Quick backstage promo with Matt Hardy, who is then joined by R-Truth, and they talk a bit about Lars, and then Lars rears his ugly head. That's not nice. Lars rears his lovely head and attacks both, kills them both, throws Truth through a table. More pre-tape moodiness from Aleister Black, but it's time for the main event. Sami Zayn versus AJ Styles versus the WWE Champion Kofi Kingston, and the title is on the line. Without a doubt, match of the night here. This was fast-paced throughout. All three guys looked great. There was a really scary spot where Kofi Kingston hit a splash on the back of AJ Styles, and you just see AJ Styles' body crumple, and then he was selling the knee. It looked really concerning. It looked like it might be legit. I'm not even sure now, but it played into the match nicely. Very entertaining from start to finish. There was a really cool double SOS from Kofi to both men. Then Kofi goes on to hit a Trouble in Paradise to AJ Styles, who's on the apron. AJ goes tumbling to the outside, and then out comes birthday boy Kevin Owens, and he attacks Xavier Woods, which leads to Sami Zayn hitting a blue thunder bomb. 1, 2, so close. Great near fall. Then he hits another blue thunder bomb. 1, 2, had me that time, kicks out, then another blue thunderbomb, 1, 2, I really thought this was it, but Kofi just manages to kick out again, then he nails Trouble in Paradise, pinning Sami Zayn and picking up the win, retaining the WWE Championship. A fantastic match. Big fan of this match, which gets an A-. Everyone looked great here. I thought especially Sami Zayn, who seemed completely at home in the main event scene. Of course he does, but more of that, please. I don't want to just see him cutting promos week in, week out. He's such a good wrestler. Just let him wrestle. And as I said earlier, really enjoyed seeing Kofi Kingston prove that he's that worthy champion both on Raw and on last night's SmackDown. Overall, this episode of SmackDown gets a B-. We saw two fantastic matches in the tag title match and the WWE title match. And in comparison to Raw, this is an A+++++ episode of TV, but I guess that's not saying much. So Jack is back in the office tomorrow. He will return to Graded next week, thank the Lord. Apparently, he's been to the doctor about his little bus problem, and the doctor literally said to him, "Jack, you have to stop masturbating." And Jack said, "Why?" And the doctor said, "Because I'm trying to examine you." Sorry, Jack. I love you. You are the best. I hope you've had a lovely holiday. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. You can follow us on Twitter at Cultaholic. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. If you enjoy what we do here at Cultaholic, you can pledge to us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Cultaholic. And most importantly, don't forget to hit subscribe and join us.